How y'all doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, great. Y'all look amazing.
Thank you.
I was wondering, I'm one of Trump's people, his minions. Are you guys voting for Trump 2024? Trump 2024? No. Are you Trump 2024? No. Not a Trump supporter?
No, baby.
Okay, well, I'm one of Trump's goons. You hear me? I slide and promote. Hey, Trump, you owe me a check. I'm out here trying to promote your campaign, folks.
I think the apple's rotten right to the core. From all the things we've done, from all the apples blooming before. I split the apple down symmetrical lines. So what I find is kinda scary, makes me just wanna drive.
You don't have to like Trump, but you've got to respect him. If his true colors are standing up and raising his fist after he gets shot at, like that's a relentless dude. It's probably one of the coolest, most inspiring things I've seen in a long time, and I think it's going to impact a lot of people.
Reason number one, I'm voting for Donald Trump for president in 2024, illegal immigration. Do you know that over the past 4 years, this country has seen upwards of 10 million illegal immigrants enter this country, okay? So now that number sounds big. It is big. It is very real. What does that mean for the average person's life? Well, in New York City, where I spend a lot of my time, what it means is that a lot of the illegal immigrants that are being shipped to New York City are very detrimental to the lives of actual citizens that live in the city. How are they detrimental to the lives of the citizens that actually live in the city? First of all, there is a competition for resources. These illegal immigrants take over these schools in lower income, yes, black neighborhoods, deeply in Brooklyn. They are overwhelming those systems. So now those kids don't have anywhere to go. There are buildings in deep Brooklyn that they use for after school things. They use for after school programs for lower income kids. Guess what just turns into an illegal immigrant shelter? Also, as somebody that pays a large amount of tax dollars in New York City, my tax dollars are currently going to $10,000 debit cards, okay, to give to illegal immigrants who are also actually being kept up in hotel rooms in Midtown, where they get room service and they get to order in food and all of that stuff. And guess what else pays for that? My tax dollars.
Yeah, and then there's the DEI press secretary telling you that the DEI vice president is the future of the party here. And so the future looks kind of dim for the Democrats here, but this is no shocker either. Kamala Harris, she's the original Haktua girl. That's the way she got where she is. And the party's going downhill if it's in her hands.
That was tough. That was harsh.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
So now MSNBC's Joy Reid taking a cue from the last Biden campaign, saying that black voters will look, quote, real weird if they don't vote for Kamala Harris. Watch this.
You're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color, but really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side.
So let's turn to Fox News contributor and civil rights attorney Leo Terrell. So Leo, thank you for being here. First of all, would you feel real weird about not voting for Vice President Harris?
No, but Joy Reid and Kamala Harris, Edward, can call me weird and crazy because I'm voting for President Trump. You see, the Democrats do not want to talk about Kamala Harris' policy. This is a rabbit hole. They want to play the race card to distract. I'm voting for Trump because I want a secure border. I want low prices. I don't like inflation. On the other hand, you got Kamala Harris, Edward, who wants open borders, who wants to eliminate ICE, who compares ICE with the KKK. I don't like those policies, but they insult the intelligence of every black American because they're asking black Americans to vote based on skin color.
I need to go get a MAGA hat and a MAGA shirt because I think I am now part of the MAGA gang, because this just, what did it for me is after this man got shot in the head, right? The Secret Service comes, they're like covering him, trying to protect him, and he's like, let me get my shoe, let me get my shoe. And then he stands up and looks out to the crowd, fists out like, yo, I'm still here.
Right.
Watch out.
Starbucks milk latte drinking. Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. Can I take cocaine with my spouse?
No, sir. No, sir.
I did not call Senator Sanders an ignorant slut. I'm not talking about buying it, but let's suppose I came in one day and the cocaine was there. People who are bilingual, they speak English and stupid. I don't know why we have to give money to countries that hate us. They should be able to hate us for free. Looks like we're giving Lindsay Lohan the keys to the minibars. They wanted it like Ben wants J-Lo. Actually, I can't because I can't get my head that far up my rear end. To stick it up their fact checker. Somebody at the White House has been smoking the devil's lettuce, okay? We cannot run the greatest economy by putting fairy dust and unicorn urine in our cars. Urinate to get off the pot. My car doesn't run off fairy dust. My car doesn't run off unicorn urine. The spending porn on pet projects, it's just chock full of spending porn. There's an enormous amount of spending porn. Next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead, call a criminal, call a meth head. It must suck to be that dumb. I don't mean disrespect, but the mayor needs to take her meds. Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong.
The main thing that caused me to leave the Democratic Party was how hostile they had become towards outside ideas and perspectives. The culture within the Democratic Party even came to encourage people to be hostile towards people who did not share their beliefs, to have them outcast as racists and bigots and homophobes, rather than engaging in any sort of intellectually honest conversation with these people. So even when it came to issues that were quantifiable, for example, the lockdowns causing the greatest drop in small business ownership in US history, even quantifiable issues like that could be proven with numbers would be dismissed with claims of racism and bigotry. So basically the free exchange of ideas was being shut down by the Democratic Party. And without the free exchange of ideas, free society itself was put at risk.
The vaccine.
I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Kamala, Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
We have lost 7 United States embassies under his presidency.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So we have embassies all over the world in
Yes.
every country. That is essentially sovereign American
Mercosur.
territory. Under his watch, we have had to evacuate 7 United States embassies.
I did not know
that.
that.
Has never happened in American history.
That's how weak
Never.
we are. That's how weak we
That's
are.
how
right
weak we are on the world stage.
What?
That's how bad it is.
Okay, help me. Why has that happened? Why are we evacuating? Because there's no protection, there's no fear.
I'm gonna say real quick, and I'm gonna give it to Wesley.
Yeah.
When you are weak, and our adversaries know you're weak, they push you. It's no different than the bully in the schoolyard. If you're timid and the bully knows he can get away with it, what happens? He comes for your lunch money every single week.
Does.
Every single day.
Until you punch back.
Until you punch back. We have been weak under Joe Biden. And so our adversaries around the globe, big and small, know that they can push us.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I look back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. This shit ain't funny.
If you are queer and you advocate for Palestine, there's a good chance that someone has told you that if you were to go to Palestine, you would either be killed or in prison. And while homophobia is definitely common in Palestinian communities and is a problem, there are actually no laws in the West Bank that criminalize homosexual activity. And in Gaza, same-sex sexual activity is prohibited under the British Mandate Criminal Code Ordinance, a law that was inherited from the British.
Who cares if that law was inherited by the British? The British don't execute people for being gay anymore, and in Gaza, Hamas does. They executed one of their highest-ranking military commanders under suspicion that he was gay. No due process, straight to the chopping block. It's not illegal to be gay in the West Bank. A young gay man was brutalized in the West Bank, his head and torso being found in the streets. You go on to say that these incidents are rare, that it's rare somebody is killed for being gay in Gaza or the West Bank. Do you think that maybe that's because these people know if they reveal themselves as gay, they will be literally torn limb from limb and strewn out in the road? Are you actually making this case? Make sure to follow for more.
Live to pictures from Washington, D.C., and the latest report is that there have been immigrants by bus dropped off at Vice President Kamala Harris's residence. This is just outside her home. You can see from these pictures dozens, I would say more than 100. I don't know if there are multiple hundreds of people outside on the lawn there, but not a small number of people outside, not the White House, but Vice President Harris's home address. You are looking live in Washington, D.C. This is the latest breaking news, potentially another contention between Governor Greg Abbott of Texas and the northeastern cities that he has deemed a home for those who have crossed illegally into the country, getting the attention of the federal government. That's what he says.
The one that's going to be interesting is the Democrat convention.
Where's that going to be?
That's in Chicago.
Like,
for those of you that weren't alive in 1968, the Democratic convention in Chicago in 1968, where Lyndon Johnson bowed out of the race. I remember sitting in my parents' living room. I was in like 8th grade or 7th grade. And Lyndon Johnson addressed the nation. He goes, if nominated, I will not seek nor will I accept the nomination for president. It's prime time. He said, wow, he just said he's stepping down. It was going to be Bobby Kennedy, and they shot Bobby Kennedy in the head. And then it was Hubert Humphrey. Nobody wanted Hubert Humphrey. And everybody went to Chicago and they rioted on national TV. So we were watching the convention. They go, oh, go outside with a disturbance. And they're billy clubbing people. And the people are chanting, the whole world's watching, the whole world's watching. They're just beating the shit out of the demonstrators. It was wild. That was Chicago Democratic Convention. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
I've made it clear that I believe America's at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come.
America must choose.
America's going to have to choose.
To move forward.
Between moving forward or backward.
To build a future.
Between hope and hate.
About the past.
Between unity and division.
To be a nation of hope and unity and optimism.
We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty,
fear,
decency, respect?
Be the next president. I mean, come on. Are you really going to vote for someone who was Montel Williams's side chick?
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
We live in a country where a man transitioned to become a woman after winning a decathlon in 1980, and then after doing so, runs over someone, kills them, runs over a second person, and 4 months later is named Woman of the Year. You live in a country where a man spends 15 months in prison for securities fraud. In a movie they make about him, he punches his wife in the stomach and then kidnaps his own child. And all of you love that movie because I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. It's The Wolf of Wall Street. You guys know who is the face of prison reform in the United States? Who is it? It's Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian, who made us is the face of prison reform. If you don't believe me, Google right now Kim Kardashian standing next to President Trump having legislation signed while she's in the Oval Office. She made a state where she was having with Ray J, and now she's getting legislation passed, and you're worried about a meme that you're supposed to post. Status is status is status. Doesn't matter what you do. If you get more attention, no one will care. People want to make TikToks with O.J. Simpson and don't give a about what he probably did.
Hey, I'm Mark Hamill, and I'm voting for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You motherfucker! It was said you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them! Fuck!
In our history, has asked for this kind of immunity for criminal actions. And no president, no former president, not me, not one, should have been given any exception to this with such immunity. Should have been given any exception. I was on the steps of one of the university halls called Hullion Hall at the university. An application because I wanted to join the Public Defender's Office. Implement these necessary reforms. A number of members of Congress here today, they ruled, as you know, that the President of the United States has immunity for potential crimes he may have committed while in office. Immunity. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power.
Serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people.
Once there was a South American country with a promising future. It had a functioning democracy, a rapidly developing economy, and a growing middle class. All the important indicators, including education, healthcare, and foreign investment, were pointed in the right direction. It was far from perfect, but the mood was hopeful, and with good reason. But now all that promise is gone. The country is a failed state, a hollowed-out shell of its former self. Services like power and water are sporadic. The most basic consumer goods, from bread to toilet paper, are in chronically short supply. Crime has skyrocketed. Freedom of the press is almost non-existent. Democracy has been replaced by a virtual dictatorship. The country is, I'm sorry to say, my beloved Venezuela, a place in which my family has deep roots. I can tell you what happened to it in one word: socialism. In 1999, then candidate for president Hugo Chavez promised to lead the people of Venezuela to a socialist paradise. His theme was Esperanza y Cambio, hope and change. Venezuela is a nation of great wealth, Chavez said, but it's being stolen from its citizens by the evil capitalists and evil corporations. This wrong would be righted, he assured the voters, if they elected him. And they did, to their everlasting regret. Chavez drew inspiration from his mentor, Fidel Castro. Like his mentor, he enjoyed giving speeches that sometimes lasted as many as 7 hours. He even gave himself his own weekly television show, where he would spontaneously break into song. Here's a rule: when your nation's leader starts singing on national television, you're in trouble. Under Chavez, the government of Venezuela took over industry after industry. The government, he assured everyone, would run these businesses better than private enterprise, and the profits would be shared by the people. With great fanfare, he tore up contracts with multinational oil and gas companies and demanded that they pay much higher royalties. When they refused, he told them to leave. They did. His image was burnished by Hollywood celebrities who flocked to see the great work he was doing, taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. Progressive politicians from the U.S. and Europe also praised him, lavishly. Here's another rule: when Hollywood celebrities visit your country to praise your leader, you're in trouble. When the leader sings on national television and is praised by Hollywood celebrities, you're doomed. Socialism always works in the beginning, so people are fooled in the beginning. It's easy for governments to confiscate money, but eventually there's no more money to confiscate. In the case of Venezuela, I mean that literally. People who could get money out of the country did. Many left the country altogether. Nearly 2 million, according to Venezuelan sociologist Tomás Baez. The wealth creators continue to create wealth, but they created it somewhere else, Miami or Madrid, and other places around the world. When Chavez first ran for president in 1999, he said he would leave in 2 years if people weren't happy with him. But, like Castro, Chavez never had any intention of giving up power. He died in office in 2013, replaced by his vice president, Nicolás Maduro. Maduro is Chavez without the charisma or the voice. The country is now a pariah, shunned by the world and isolated. It's so bad that many international airlines refuse to fly there. People stand in lines for hours just to get food. Sometimes they walk away empty-handed. A recent survey found that 75% of Venezuelan adults lost weight in 2016, an average of 19 pounds. This national weight loss program is known cynically as the Maduro diet. Still, Maduro holds onto power. Opposition leaders and journalists who report the truth are jailed. Venezuela is a cautionary tale. Once a country goes down a socialist path, there's no easy way back. And the longer a country stays socialist, the harder it is to reform it. Venezuela has been socialist for 2 decades. If you don't think it can happen here, whether here is the United States or Europe or anywhere else, you're fooling yourself. When people get used to depending on the government, no matter how poor they remain, that dependency is hard to break. That's why you should never buy the socialist lie. Socialism is a drug, and like a drug, it feels great at first, but eventually it will ruin your country, just like it ruined Venezuela. I'm Debbie D'Souza for Prager University.
Somebody who lived with chronic TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, for most of my early adulthood, I want to share with you guys how I overcame my TDS and became a freethinker. TDS is characterized by a consuming and often unfounded hatred of Donald Trump, and symptoms include but are not limited to having blue hair, having a victim mentality, and watching CNN. I want to clarify that I do have reservations when it comes to Donald Trump. He is not the perfect politician, and nobody is. But I would be lying if I said I didn't believe there was a concerted effort by the media to cause the general public to have an emotional reaction to Donald Trump. And I personally would consider this to be political propaganda. Propaganda that absolutely worked on me. But as I grew older, I began to realize that I do sometimes align with Trump from a policy perspective. But I had always thought of Trump as far right, and I certainly knew that I wasn't far right. I also knew that half of the country voted for this man, and my lived experience would inform me that half of the country are not far-right extremists. Politics are complex, these issues are all incredibly nuanced, and you can't expect everybody to interpret Trump's behavior in the exact same way. Now that I'm cured of my TDS, I'm able to realize how many people are still suffering from TDS symptoms. In fact, I can always sense the emotional responses bubbling up when he comes up in conversation. I see people equating his supporters with far-right extremists, when the reality is that the vast majority of his supporters are hardworking, everyday Americans who love this country and want to see it thrive. As I said, this video is not meant to be an endorsement of Donald Trump. It's simply meant to call out political propaganda so that we can all be aware of the narratives that are unfolding all around us.
If he was doing the job, I wouldn't even be doing this.
There's fucking cops surrounding this whole entire fucking building right now.
There's something going on in this building.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator elected and to make sure
Oh my God.
back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America.
There's somebody in this building.
And it's not easy because we have millions and millions of people in our country that should be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much harder. In recorded history, we're the best order. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they could do it. You guys have access to that chart, but I love it so much. You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? This is not going to be just a small where you're trying to explain. Oh, this is you guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow at the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's what I'm office. That's the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services. Comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever recorded in history. And then the
Make yourself small, bro. I don't know what's going on.
So as some of you may know, we have recently relocated from Malibu, California to Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because I have lived my whole life, and you have lived your whole lives in blue states with blue friends. But since moving to Steamboat, we've had a very interesting experience. Steamboat is a blue dot in the middle of a purple state. But I have met some of the most wonderful people who definitely are Trumpers. And initially I thought, what did you think? I thought it was going to be hard to make friends or be friends with people who I felt so politically differently than. But as it turns out, there are good people on both sides. I don't agree with their position. Because we're for Kamala Harris. We are for Kamala Harris. But I treasure the friends that I've made here. Names changed to protect the innocent. Even the ones who are definitely voting in a way that I would not. So this is just your reminder that it is possible to have friends across the aisle. And we love you. We're not mentioning names, but we love you.
Tyranny always comes in the name of compassion and equality of outcomes. When I was at Columbia, they are brainwashing my classmates saying education should be free. Healthcare is a human right. How unfair is it that there are billionaires and there are homeless people? It should be we are all equal. This same idea began the living hell of North Korea. When Kim Il-sung came to my grandmother's and my grandfather, he said this to exact thing to us. How unfair is that? They are landowners, they are capitalists. And how unfair is that your children cannot be educated, you need to pay for it. If you give me the power, Kim Il-sung said, I'm going to make everything free. Government was gonna provide everything for us. If we just gave up our private property, our freedom of speech, our freedom of movement.
The Taliban believes it's okay to rape 8-year-old boys. Are they wrong?
To me, yes, they are wrong, but to themselves, they think it's right.
Are they objectively wrong?
Okay, what is an objective? What is the objective?
Well, hold on. Objectively, looking outside.
According to what?
Right and wrong.
That comes down to me. And to me, they're wrong. But to them, they're right.
When somebody goes and rapes a woman here on campus, are they wrong?
Yes.
Why?
Because that is something you should not do.
Oh, so they should not do. What does should mean?
I mean,
what are you comparing should to?
Myself.
So it's your morality that triumphs over any objective laws.
I mean, not technically. I mean, at the end of the day, I can do whatever I want. I mean, I'll end up in jail. I'll end up, wherever I end up. But, it's whatever world you live in.
Is that the way we should design society? Everyone does what's ever right in their own eyes?
I mean, no, because it would be kind of chaos at the end of the day.
I agree. So then what standard should we then derive morality from other than opinion?
It's my world. I live in my own world with my things. What I think is good is what I think is good.
You don't understand that's one of the most narcissistic things.
Yes, it is. I'm a narcissist. So what? So what?
What if everyone acted the way you just articulated? What would that world look like?
I have no idea. I don't even want to know.
So you probably agree that's a terrible world to live in?
Yes, it would be, but thank God not everybody's like me.
I think I understand your worldview pretty well.
I'm talking to you right now. Women are being raped by members of the cartel to cross this border. Not once, numerous times. A child will die today on the border. Women and children are going to be smuggled in this country and forced into sex trafficking. We already found a bunch of kids working in the meat packing plant, cleaning up entrails at midnight shift, not getting paid a dime because they were trafficked. In the meantime, over 400,000 children have been smuggled in this country in the hands of criminal cartels. Self-separated from their families, put in the hands of criminal cartels. They're releasing kids and now they can't find 100,000 of them? Do not tell me that this administration's policies is humane. I said it before, they're killing Americans at record numbers, they're killing migrants at record numbers, and they're causing a sex trade of children that are undeniable.
Roll the clip.
Oh, okay, a bit of a history lesson. Do you know that the women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022? Think about that. And talk about progress, better late than never, but progress. And what that has done, because of course when, I had a bracket, it's not broken completely, but I won't talk about my bracket. But you know what, just how we love March Madness, and even just now allowing the women to have brackets and what that does. People used to say, oh, women's sports, who's interested? Well, if you can't see it, you won't be. But when you see it, you realize, oh.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
If you draw a Venn diagram, it is so much easier to understand. You put time on one side, right? And you put passages at some point on the other. And in the middle, you get a whole continuum of everything that was there and all that is before you.
So you mentioned your love of Venn diagrams. And I know I loved Venn diagrams when I was 9 also. But I was trying to draw.
They just make everything so simple, right?
So, curiosity, is that just a normal thing whenever we get nervous that we just sort of laugh as if we're about to get Dorothy? Because I notice you tend to do that a lot, and it is concerning to some Americans.
You know, I take with pride that we are the administration of transparency. All right. And you just have to understand that Democrats, you know, we're very full of shit, right? So sometimes we just get caught up, and it's not uncommon to kind of laugh through it and just, you know, sweep it under the rug. It's something that Nancy taught me. She's great at it. We were talking about insider trading, and, you know, you laugh it off and, you know, everything is just A-okay. It's important to stay mindful. I think of myself as a joyful warrior, right?
Hey guys, if you like that clip, make sure you hit that follow button, leave us a comment down below, and make sure you're following LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV.
About some, you should be supporting other women. I'm letting you guys know right now, I do not support all women. Some of you bitches are dumb.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I look back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. This shit ain't funny.
And the one that really killed me was we canceled a song that was written in the 1940s called Baby It's Cold Outside. At Christmas. There were radio stations across the country that wouldn't play the song because some people found the lyrics rapey and filled with toxic masculinity, which is fine if you feel that way. You're entitled to feel that way. But the exact same time that they canceled that, you can Google this, I'm not making this up, the #1 song in our nation for over 2 months was entitled Wet Ass Pussy. I am not making that up. You can look it up. They performed it on the Grammys. It also won the People's Choice Award and the American Music Award for Best Hip Hop Song. So, to close out my show, I would like to compare and contrast the lyrics of these two songs to just see if indeed our nation has lost its mind. Let's start with the horribly offensive Christmas song written just after World War II. I really can't stay, baby, it's cold outside. I gotta go away, baby, it's cold outside. This evening has been so very nice. Yeah, you f***ing with some wet ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass pussy. Beat it up, N-word, extra large, extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face, swipe your nose like a credit card. My mother will start to worry. Beautiful, what's your hurry? My